2, 1. Right, good evening, everybody. It's we're doing this heads up on Thursday night because we have a special guest, and the lady in picture, you may recognise her as the trainer of the horses that are just running so hot and just after lockdown, May, June, and July. And welcome along, Chrissy Bambry. It's great to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Good to be here.
Yeah. Now, when you had that hot spell, you must have been thinking, "Gee, the world's looking pretty good."
Yeah, look, we worked them quietly over lockdown, sort of more to give us something to do and to keep them fit, and hoping that the horses would hopefully have that advantage when we came back racing. And yeah, I think they did. It was a pretty exciting time, that's for sure.
Yeah, true. Right. Okay, we're going to go through a few admin things first of all. Then we'll touch on what tools you use to get your horses so fit and going so well. So last week, we had a pretty good race at Awapuni, which I think is Chrissy's favourite track. I think going by her strike rate there, I think she had about 10 winners there. Would that be right, Chrissy?
I like any tracks that I win at, Neil.
Yeah, I don't blame it. Yeah. But you had Lubea last week and loomed up as though it was going to go past Mohaka.
Yeah, I thought we'd pulled one out of the hat there, Neil, with Lubea, but very cagey front run ride by one DGB to bring up his 100th black type winner as a jockey, and he just managed to hold out Magic Man on Lubea. Great training performance, you'd have to say, by Guy Lowry and Grant Cullen, stepping up from the 1400 to the 2100 with a 6-day turnaround. But no, too good, Mohaka, but we'd have to settle for second. But that's the way it went. And certainly we let a few people down with our spruik of our own horse, Girder, in the last. Apologies there, team. Just wasn't quite good enough on the day.
No excuses at all, were there? Or tough field?
Yeah, it was a good field. I think there'll be a good form race to follow. I think that You Are a Star as a horse to follow out of that race that ran third. It kind of didn't get all favours down the straight, getting a bit buffeted by the horse on its outside lane in. No, that's one to follow. But we live and we can move on and turn the page, Neil. But before we go to this Saturday, I guess we should touch on Tuesday, the Melbourne Cup. We're close with Tiger Moth.
Yeah, it was a good ride, wasn't it? I thought it drew 23 and gradually worked across, got into a nice spot. But I thought about 200 metres out he was going to go past the leader, but leader was just too tough. What did you think, Chrissy? You obviously watched the race.
Yeah, I watched the race. I was hoping for Surprise Baby, to be fair, Neil. I've got a shocking colt going to the yearling sale, so I thought that might have helped a little bit.
Fair enough. You got any memories of our favourite Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, well, actually, my favourite one's probably Efficient winning, because I worked at Curramore the year we prepared him for the yearling sales. So he was a bit of a rat bag as a yearling, and he tested all our patience. But yeah, he was a lovely horse the whole way through. But he had a few quirks about him, but probably what made him good in the end.
Yeah, that was a great horse, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
No, it's terrific. Yeah. Okay, so onto this week's big race, 2,000 guineas. Not a bad, small field, eh? But good quality field. Few chances. What do you like, Go?
Well, Neil, yeah, I guess the cream's risen to the top, and those horses that are really at the peak of their form are the only ones that have paid up. So a small but select field. I thought 1,600 at Riccarton, big roomy track, smallish field. I think Aegon might be with our man Leith in it. Hearing just the way it won at Hastings would suggest the step up from the 14 to the 6 right up its alley. That stable, obviously in form with the chosen one running full up and a winner on Cup Day at Ellerslie, which ironically the same Aegon. I think the main owner, Bart Zama, I think they've only ever had 3 horses: John Snow, Rhaegar, and Aegon. How's that for your first 3 horses? There might be 1 or 2 others, but basically in the first 4 or 5 horses he's had, the other 3, very handy types, all have one black type. now. And yeah, I don't know. I think Aegon might continue that winning run. Yourself, Neil, who do you like?
Maybe we should offer him a share in Biddy with his luck. No, I'm in your camp too. I think Aegon is could be something special. Been doing sectionals for a few years now. And very few horses run the fastest last 200 metres on the day after running sort of 10th and 15th last 600 and 400 metres. So it just shows that the step to the mile is going to be really ideal for him, and there's going to be reasonable tempo on the race, you think, with those three horses out in front. So, yeah, I think Aegon, 320, I rate him about a 270, 260 price. I'd like to see Lethal get him home for us. Big roomy track. I think he can do it. Yeah, tough race. But weather forecast looks a bit scratchy tomorrow on Friday, but Saturday looks okay. So it might be a sort of a dead 5, dead 6. Right, nothing else you liked on the weekend at all?
To be honest, Neil, this week I haven't had a good look. T Rapa or Rickerton, but no, we'll tune in, log into the Form Pro website Saturday morning and see what you've got, and maybe follow a few of those throughout the day, and hopefully turn a profit before we hit the sports bet of the weekend on Saturday night at 9. The All Blacks in Australia.
What's your thoughts there then? Good win of the All Blacks? Got to be.
An eye of the All Blacks went against them in the 2 tests in New Zealand, and one we were good and one we weren't. But I'm going to jump on the band team they've selected today for that test. Obviously, they were very dominant last weekend, so we'll go the All Blacks -15.5 at $1.85. Get over the top of the Wallabies on a nice balm Brisbane night, Saturday night, 9:45 kickoff. So we'll run with that this week, Neil.
That's good. Even with an Aussie ref? No.
Yeah, I haven't checked to see the ref is. It shouldn't really matter, I wouldn't have thought.
Probably is. You never know. It comes down to 15 or 16 points at the end. We can always blame the ref. Rightio. Right, last week's question was, who won last year's Golden Eagle? And it was?
Colding.
Yep. We had 7 people who got that right.
Yeah, 7 people got it right.
Yep.
Before we draw the winner.
Chrissy, give me a number. 1 to 7.
You, in the Stump the Goat segment last week, you talked about how many cup winners has Lloyd Williams won, and lo and behold, that question turns out to be a lead for the Melbourne Cup, but I don't think I followed that lead, so we'll move on. But I'll go number 7.
7. Bruce R. All the way from the South Island. He's
well done, Bruce.
Subscribe, he'll be happy. Rightio, and we won't do Stump the Goat or
we'll do a quick
bats and bouquets, but we're stuck into our lovely lady, Chrissy Bambry. Chrissy, I met your father about 10 years ago. I went to Woodville races and he was sponsoring a race, and he asked me if I'd come around and have a look at your, the water walker. It was fascinating. And do you still use the same water walker or same setup? Water treadmill, yeah.
Yeah, we still use that. So that was probably just when we first put it in, to be fair. We probably hadn't had it long then, and yeah, it's been a great asset to us, and I think that's probably how we keep a lot of the horses sound, and we can probably keep them up for a little bit longer than what we normally would, just because they can use that, and it's not so sort of strenuous on them, on their joints and things like that.
Yeah, so was that one of the keys to why your horses were going so well? You got them up and happy and fit, compared to most other trainers who put their horses out for a break. Would that be part of the reason why you had such a good spell then?
Yeah, so they had different rules around what you're allowed to do and things in the racing industry, and so we weren't riding them. We were able to work them obviously on the water treadmill, so that was a big advantage for us. And we dropped their work right back and sort of worked them only every second day and things like that. But we just kept that residual fitness, and it's actually amazing how fit they can get on the treadmill. And because a lot of those horses were already at racing stage, we just had to keep them at that level. And then we were galloping the sort of the week after lockdown, and I know there was a lot of trainers that had a smaller property or properties at home that were able to ride their horses. And so that first set of jump outs at Levin that we had back at the end of May, there was a few horses there, and you could tell, I think, in those first few weeks back in racing which horses had been worked during lockdown. They just had that residual fitness in that last couple of 100 meters.
And with the treadmill, do you alter the height of the water according to, like, must be harder to walk through deeper water than shallow water? Anything like that?
Yeah, it is. Yep. So the best thing about the water treadmill compared to like a water walker is that you can individualize it to each horse. So tab as well. So that also is important to be able to alter the water level, but you can go right up to their chests. A lot of them I only just work right up to their knees, and some of them that have got issues over the sacrum and things like that, they'll only work up to their fetlocks or keep it low to be able to get their hocks to actually lift higher and work those different muscles. So it's really good just to be able to sort of work each horse as their own, and they work different times and things like that, and they all walk a different speed, and just have fastest that they can without them sort of breaking into a trot, really.
That's terrific. Now you were given the Gavel House Newcomer to Training Award, which is fantastic to get, for just what you've been training now 3 years, haven't you? Since 2018? Yeah. So you're what was it like getting that award, to be able to be recognised for your achievements?
Yeah, look, to be fair, it was probably only sort of aware that last sort of few months, because it was sort of nothing that I'd sort of really worked into, to be fair. But once we started post lockdown, it was something that sort of you thought, oh, it's pretty achievable now, and it looked a little bit closer to sort of get it. So it just worked out that we had the right horses and they kept winning for us.
Yeah. And sort of going to touch on that now. Deerfield is obviously the star of the stable. And what's he like to train?
Oh, look, he's a quirky bugger, to be fair, Neil.
Like Andrew, eh?
He's got a lot of issues. Just when we first got him, they trialled him, and that's all that they'd done. And he was Hong Kong owned then, and he was that he kept going sore, and so he did get sent to us originally to go on the water treadmill to be trained on that. And that's basically everything he does is on the water treadmill. He only goes into the track to gallop, and it works for him, and it works for most horses. It's not going to work for them all, but he does 12 minutes on the water treadmill each day, and it's unbelievable how fit he can get. But he works really hard on it, and that's the important thing. And yeah, I think those horses that have got a heart of gold like Deerfield, and they're worth the extra massaging and stretching and everything that they put in, because he's definitely got a heart, or like Tony Lee said, the size of Lake Taupo.
He sure has. That's one at Trentham, which is amazing.
I was a bit, we didn't get the lead and things like that. I thought they'd take us on, but he looked like he was under the pump, and Leah said that he did make her work for it. But look, I think he knows where the winning post is, fortunately, and it would have taken a bit out of him, but he's trotting around sound. He's pretty happy, so he had a quiet jump out on Wednesday. He's got to weigh a bit on me. He lives in the paddock. He's not a boxed horse. He doesn't like the box, so going, and he's got a bit fat. So I gave him a quiet jump out, and hopefully he'll be on target for Awapuni next week.
Right. Okay. I think he's had 19 starts for 9 wins, and most of those wins in his last sort of 10 starts or so. So must be really satisfying getting a horse like him and getting the best out of him and being so happy and winning so well. Must be really.
Yeah, it is, because of his issues and things like that, and the fact that races before we got him, just getting him to the races and not going sore was a huge satisfaction for us. And he'd obviously shown a lot of ability early on, otherwise the owners wouldn't have put that time and effort into him. And got hurt in October last year. In his last start, he pulled up sore, and so we had to rehab him from that as well. And so I think the maturity's helped him as well. But yeah, it was a long road. We didn't know whether he'd come back as good as what he did. And to be fair, I 3 months ago, if you'd have told me he was going to win 5 of his last 6, I probably wouldn't have said he would. But yeah, he's just been an incredible horse for us. So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Now I remember a horse called Blonde Line winning at Hawke's Bay, leading all the way and paying big bucks there too. And I think he's won since. But something happened to him. Was your father training him? Were you training him? It was 2 or 3 years ago. So
my first winner, Neil, and my stable when Dad took a step back, and she won. I think she's won her last 4 out of her 5 starts, and she ran second to Hanger at Awapuni. Yep. And we're on Telegraph, and she galloped probably 2 weeks before that, and she did her hind suspensory, pulled a little bone off as well. So that was 21 months ago, and it's been a long rehab since. The water treadmill's obviously been a huge help for that. And but yeah, she's back. She's quiet jump outs and a quiet trial, and yeah, she's looking really good. So she's a day-to-day prospect probably. I'm just hoping she stays sound. But yeah, I'm really happy with where she is, and yeah, really proud of her how she's come back actually. So hopefully we can keep her sound.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to her starting. I saw her won a trial recently and leading all the way. I think was it Lisa Allcrest rode her in that trial?
Yeah. Lisa rode her at the live-in jump outs for me on Wednesday as well. So I've extra agent to tell her where we're going. So hopefully he's penciled her in for me.
Oh, that's great. And remember just doing a bit of research there. I remember the horse called Lord Turbo. You owned or part owner of Lord Turbo, weren't you?
Yeah. I bred him with my parents out of a bred, and he was her first foal. So it's pretty special to me. He's probably what got me stuck breeding horses, to be fair, Neil. But when you get on your first horse you breed, you're buggered. Then you think it's easy.
Yeah, I know. Good on you. And I know Rosie Myers rode him when he won the Newey Guineas. 2018 was it? 2017?
Yeah, she rode him in, I think, probably 5 of his 6 starts here 4 of his 5 starts here in New Zealand before he went to Hong Kong. So I used to go to uni with Rosie, and she's become a really good friend, and yeah, it was pretty special to have her win those races on him. Yeah,
no, I bet it was. I see you won 4 races over in Hong Kong too, so he was a good horse. How have you got working for you?
I'm sorry.
How many staff have you got working for you?
Oh, two full-timers, and then Dad's obviously farm as well, which is, so we'll call him a third worker. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it must be hard finding good staff. That must have a love of horses and the outside to be good work employees for you.
Yeah, look, it is, and it's long hours, and it's not always rewarding. That's probably the biggest thing, and you've got to put in the hard yards. And I think the younger generation, when we're brought up with horses, it's natural for us to work 6 till 6 and not think anything of it. But that's a long day for a lot of people, and you've just got to have that love of the horse to do it. And I'm really lucky. I've got some really good staff, and yeah, they treat the horses like they're their own, and I think that helps when you've got to have that high quality care and the standards up high. And if they don't love what they're doing, then they just doesn't fit the bill, really. Yeah.
I've got 2 or 3 more questions. Andrew, have you got any questions for Chrissy at all?
Do you want to give us an update on Rosie? Obviously, people are well aware of the situation. You're probably reasonably close to the family, so to speak.
Yeah. I saw her husband Will today, actually, and she's going really good. So she's just having a few more scans and things like that, but she's progressing really good, and they're really happy with her. And Will said she was being a bit of a smarty pants today to him. So sounds like she's back to our normal Rosie. Look, I'm sure it'll be a long road, but she's as tough as anything and pretty determined. So it'll be great to see her back. She's at home, but she's going really well. So everyone's thoughts are greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no, that's great news. Good to hear that. You train mainly at Foxton Racetrack?
Yeah, so I'd take a truckload. We have 7 or 8 go into the track each morning, and they just alternate. And I think that's important. And the rest of on the water treadmill at home, and that's probably how we keep their brains happy and their legs fresh. And yeah, it just seems to be a system that we've got in place, and that works good for us. The younger horses probably go in a little bit more often, the 2-year-olds and things like that. But the older horses like Deerfield goes into gallop. So yeah, it's not hard to fit him on the truck every now and then.
And what do you think of the proposed plan? Well, that is going to happen, isn't it? Of having an all-weather track based in Palmerston North.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably something that, and I've talked a lot about it with friends, that it's probably going to need more than want to be fair. We need it down in the central districts if we're going to be competing with the northern trainers, and little things like keeping our horses ready for those spring races and things. That is going to be so much further them up to fitness and things like that, because they'll be getting jump outs and things into them on those synthetic tracks. And if we don't have one, I think we'll be totally behind the 8 ball. So I think it's going to be a huge benefit for us, and the sooner we can get it working, I think the better.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen, isn't it? By the sounds of it.
Yeah, look, I think that they're in talks to doing it, and I know they have to raise a bit more money and things like that, because it's not haven't given us all the money to build it, but they're working really hard on getting it sorted, and hopefully we can get it in. Yeah, because like you can see in the Cambridge one, it doesn't take all that long comparatively probably to get it sorted. So
No.
they're using theirs now. So I think to be on even pegging, and even horses that are in training, Neil, I think that's important, because if all the horses and all the money is up north, then I think we need that also down here to give us trainers even pegging, to be able to sort of say that we're okay to be training other people's horses, because otherwise not on even pegging, then those horses will travel up north and they'll just go to north.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Was there one sort of race that you'd like to win locally or anywhere that you particularly like to win with a horse?
Or after today, any race, but yeah, I'd love to win an Oaks.
I think there's a paddock there, Neil, that you've got a share in that could be winning the Oaks in about 16 months.
You never know, do you? The way she jumps around the paddock and everything. And I'll tell you what, we get really good updates from you, video updates on Biddy on the Facebook page. And that's really good to have. Not many trainers bother doing that. And owners and people who are paying the bills do appreciate it. So thanks very much for that. And I know anybody's listening who's thinking of, gee, I've got a horse here, I've got a horse that's coming up and maybe starting soon or coming into being broken in. Chrissy sounds like a really well-organised person, up and coming trainer, got the Gavel House Award for it. So, Chrissy, are you looking for more horses for the stable?
Yeah, look, I'm always looking for fast horses, Neil, and they're few and far between. But yeah, no, there's left in the stable, and I'll go up to the ready to run sales, and I might try to nab a couple up there as well, because I think it's important to have these young horses coming through the stable and things like that as well. Yeah. So yeah, definitely spaces. So if anyone wants to have their horse trained with the water treadmill and have a bit more variety, then definitely get in touch.
Yeah. What's the best way to get in touch? Email or?
Yeah, probably email or a text would be easiest, because sometimes I'm got 2 horses and so can't always answer the phone. But yeah, email or text would be the best way.
Okay, I'll get those off afterwards, and I'll put those beside the link for this video, so if people want to get in touch, and they can. But no, I think having, like you mentioned, something a wee bit different. You've got that water treadmill, and when I saw it, I was really impressed with it. It was about 10 years ago, and I think I've done a lot of swimming myself, and I find swimming is just a great way to keep fit and feel good at the same time. So And the horses, you find their demeanour is much happier rather than doing galloping all the time, or a bit of both maybe, a variety.
A lot of them are sort of paddock trained, or they're in the open barn there, and they're quite happy and they really enjoy their work. And it's the first few times is sometimes a little bit scary for them, but it's more water spot more than actually the water for them. And we pre-train as well for a couple of other trainers and things like that. So yeah, it's nice to see. That's the other thing too. Like, it's not just the training; it's the pre-training. I don't think other horses fit for other trainers, because it's still satisfying when they go and win for another trainer as well.
And there's not a lot of female trainers in the country, but Lisa Laffer, obviously, Karen Zimmerman, but she's now working for Nigel Tiley. I think that she's still working for him. But, you sort of keep in touch with Lisa and the other female trainers. They're sort of on the racetrack, or
Yeah, look, Emma House, she trains at Foxton, and Susie Gordon, they both train at Foxton as well. And go. Yeah. So Lisa actually sends a few horses to the water treadmill that have, they might have jarred up, or we've got one there that's just got a few issues. So she's quite an advocate of it. She's got some really good owners, John Street and Neville McAllister, that's had some really good results, sending them out to me for a freshen up and things like that. So so that's helpful. And it's, I follow them once they go back to the stable and always ask her how they're getting on and things like that. And it's a good system, and I'm just pleased that she's one of the smart trainers that knows that I'm not trying to steal their horses, and she can use it for her benefit as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good to hear. So, okay, listeners or viewers will want to know what they can back in the next 2 or 3 weeks from your stable. Obviously, Deerfield is going to be starting in a couple of weeks, you said, but anything else we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, look, well, I'd say, I'd be pretty confident, depending on how Blondline pulls up from her trial on the 17th, I think it is, at Foxton. Right. I go straight to Levin Stakes, and that'll be a big ask, but I won't be going there. She won't be starting unless I think she's a good chance. So I'd say, I don't know, she might pay a bit, or she might not, now that I've tipped her out on here, Neil, but come back very good. And I'd be pretty confident she's going to hit the ground running, probably. Yeah,
that's great. I do admire people like yourself. You spend so many hours, it's a 7-day-a-week job, and you go to the races, and all the public see is a horse walking into the bird cage, go around the track and go out again, but they don't see all the time that is spent massaging them and talking to them and keeping them happy and well fed, obviously. So big ups to you. It's just must be a very satisfying occupation. You wouldn't do anything else, I suppose, would you?
Yeah, no, it is satisfying, Neil. And I know that the Melbourne Cup, losing that horse in the Melbourne Cup, caused a bit of a stir this year. And it's probably more frustrating than anything, with the keyboard warriors saying about what they don't know. And I think it's just comes down to them not being educated, really, because obviously we don't do this job because it's a job. We do it because we love it. And we'd never want bad to happen to these horses. So that's probably just education. We need to probably educate the public more about it than think, because we do our best for these horses, and they live pretty happy lives, to be fair, and they usually get the cream before we do. So that's what they always say. The trainers are probably eating 2-minute noodles, but everyone else is in the barn, they're pretty happy.
That's right. Yeah, okay, so we've got a young yearling. She yearling, Biddy?
2-year-old.
Pardon?
2-year-old now.
2-year-old. She's actually 2 now, is she? Yeah. Okay. So there'd be a few guys who are in the ownership watching this. What's your sort of long-term plan with her? Any ideas, or are you just going to wait and see how she develops?
I'll hopefully win the Oaks, Neil. That's the plan.
I like that plan. You sound like Donald Trump. Positive thinking.
We might win, so that'll be all right.
Yeah, the Oaks, man, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I've seen a few of those races.
It's a race that I think she'll probably suit, but she's sort of shown enough ability in that first jump out that she's got a bit of speed, and she just grew a lot. So I've put her out for a spell, and she'll come back into work in December, and we'll get her ready for the autumn. And I'd like to think she'd be having a race towards the end of autumn to get her ready for the 3-year-old spring races.
Terrific. That sounds really good. Oh, anything else, Goat? You want to ask Chrissy before we sign off?
No, I think you've covered it very well, actually, Neil. I'm impressed with your homework that you've done. Well done. One thing we didn't ask a question for next week's multi winner.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So hopefully everyone's had to listen to right the way through in order to be a chance to win next week's multi. So the question to answer this week is, what New Zealand train provided the Quinella in the McKinnon Stakes in the last 30 years? Of course, that's one of the features tomorrow at Flemington with Melody Bell running. So what New Zealand trainer trained the Quinella in that race within the last 30 years? Text or email your answers through to Neil, and you'll be in the draw for next week's multi.
Yeah, 027 352 6402 or formpro@formpro.co.nz by Tuesday night. You'll be in for that draw next week. Yeah. Oh, well, once again, thanks, Chrissy. It's hopefully the next interview we do is sort of after you've won the Oaks.
I hope you don't long for a group one, Neil, but
Yeah.
if it is.
I'm looking forward to catching up with you one about the races too. So thanks very much for sharing all that you've told us tonight, and good luck with their field and Blonde Line. It must be something you must be really looking forward to when she steps out again.
Yeah, I think I wait with bated breath until she can start at the races again. But yeah, she's pretty exciting coming back like she is. So she's very lucky. She's got some very patient owners, and they just love it a bit. So it'd just be great to see her back.
Well, if you see her go out a hot favourite, you know why. All jumped on it. Well, thanks so much, Chrissy, and Goat. We'll catch up next week.